My name is Adam Carter, and that night was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. I had spent weeks planning a surprise proposal for my girlfriend, Lena, a woman I had loved for almost 3 years. She was vibrant, social, and full of energy, the kind of person who could light up any room she entered. I wanted everything to be perfect. She was attending a party with her friends at a downtown lounge, and I thought it would be the ideal place to surprise her, surrounded by laughter, music, and people who knew us both. I even coordinated with one of her close friends to make sure everyone would gather around when I walked in. When I arrived, heart racing and hands trembling, the music was loud, the lights low, and the air filled with excitement. Lena was in the center of the room, laughing with her friends, wearing that same confident smile that first drew me to her. I took a deep breath, got down on one knee, and pulled out the small velvet box I'd been hiding for weeks. The crowd cheered and gasped, phones came out, and all eyes turned toward us. I looked up at her, my voice shaking slightly as I said, "Lena, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Will you marry me?" For a moment, there was silence. I expected tears, maybe laughter, maybe even shock, but not what came next. Lena took a step back, her face tightening into a nervous smile. Then she laughed, not kindly, but awkwardly, as if trying to make it a joke. "Oh, Adam," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "I'd rather stay single than be married right now." The laughter around us faded instantly. My heart dropped. I froze, still on one knee, the ring glinting under the dim lights. I could feel the heat rush to my face as people exchanged uneasy glances. One of her friends tried to whisper something to her, but she just shook her head and said, "He knows I'm not that type." I stood up slowly, putting the ring back in the box, my hands trembling. I forced a faint smile and said quietly, "You could have told me that before tonight." She looked away, muttering something about not being ready, about how she didn't want to be tied down. I nodded and said, "Don't worry, you won't be." Without another word, I walked out, leaving behind the whispers, the awkward silence, and the music that suddenly felt too loud. That night, I drove aimlessly through the city, the ring sitting on the passenger seat like a reminder of how blind love can make you. I replayed every conversation, every moment we shared, wondering how I missed the signs, how her affection had grown colder, how she avoided talks about the future, how she laughed off every serious discussion with a joke. In the following days, messages poured in. Some of her friends apologized for her behavior, others said she didn't mean to humiliate me, that she was just caught off guard. But I knew the truth. She didn't see me as a forever, only as a convenience. A few months later, I learned that she had started dating someone else from that same friend group, a flashy guy who thrived on attention just like she did. It stung, but by then, the pain had turned into clarity. I took that ring, sold it, and used the money to fund the photography business I'd always dreamed of starting. The same year, I built something of my own, something that couldn't betray me. Ironically, the humiliation that night became the spark that pushed me to rebuild myself. Years later, while covering an event for my business, I saw her again. She looked startled, as if seeing a ghost. She came over and said softly, "You look different, happier." I smiled. "I am." "You were right that night," I said calmly. "You'd rather stay single than marry me, and I'd rather be alone than beg for love." Her eyes filled with regret, but I simply walked away, this time with no pain, no bitterness, just peace. That party had been the end of one chapter, but the beginning of the best one of my life.